Alrighty, a Lionel with you. Our number toll free is 866-303-2270. There is a book. Well, let me first start off. If you are a Beatles fan, let me just say, that's so stupid. If you are a fan of breathing, if you like oxygen, if you want to know all there is, you must have in your library Instamatic Karma, photographs of John Lennon by May Pang, who joins me now. May, welcome to the Lionel Show.
Well, thank you, Lionel. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. First, I want to go into, there's so much I want to discuss about this. Because the myths, the stories, the confusion, I want to clarify a couple of things.
Sure.
For history, and there are a lot of rock fans who want to know all about the Beatles, John Lennon, and you. What are you? What do you call yourself in relation to John Lennon, first of all?
Well, I guess his girlfriend, his companion. I mean, the word that I hate the most is probably the word mistress. And mistress, the mistress, because they always have to put it in. And to me, that's somebody that's in hiding. I wasn't in hiding. We lived together. He was actually separated from Yoko, and we lived together on East 52nd Street in New York, or wherever we were in L.A., and, borrowing everybody's house.
There was nothing surreptitious about this. There was nothing hiding, nothing clandestine. This was in the open.
In the open. Yoko used to call us, anywhere from a couple of phone calls a day. Mainly, it was like more than 10, 15 calls a day. That we were in constant touch. So it wasn't as if she didn't know where we were.
Now, for those people who just want to clarify this, let me just get this straight, May Pang. John and Lennon and Yoko had separated.
Yeah, they were about to separate. They were about to separate.
Were they going to divorce, or were they just in a hiatus?
Well,
or what do you want to call it?
At the time, it was for separation. I worked for both of them, so that people would understand. I worked for both of them.
What did you do?
I was their PA, their production assistant, their everything that you name it, from going with them, buying their clothes, to making sure everything was running correctly in the studio. And, I got in at like 9:30 in the morning. I have my own office. I'm sitting there, 9:30, not even my cup of coffee was, I didn't even get a chance to drink it. And Yoko would come in like we are now, sitting across from each other. She goes, "Oh, I got to talk to you." And I'm thinking, oh my God, another assignment before I even, get a chance to get my the drink of coffee
right,
down.
you're bearing, right.
And she says, "You know that John and I are not getting along." And that was her first opening line to me. And I said,
Subtle.
And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." Now, if you're working around the house, everybody that was working there, and there was about 3 of us, we all knew. You could just feel, feel the tension, but you just ignore it. You go on and do your work. And I had been working for them for 3 years at that point. So it's not like something, I was a new kid on the block. So I'm sitting there. She's telling me this. She goes, "Oh, John's going to start seeing other people." And as she's
very businesslike.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, and where is this going? And my thought at that moment, my brain went into another stratosphere. Is, okay, who am I thinking about? Like, oh, now we have another person. It's Yoko, it's John, and an X factor.
Right.
So that, and then you say, oh, there's more people in the mix. And that's all I'm thinking about. She's talking. And then she says, "Oh, you don't have a boyfriend." All of a sudden I heard that line and I looked at her. I said, "What?" I said, I don't want John." She goes, "Oh, I know you weren't after him, but I think you'd be good for him." You
weren't exactly disgusted by the notion, were you?
But you know what?
But it was such a shock.
It was a shock.
And how old were you then?
I'm 22.
22.
And I have to say, at 22, I've been working for them for 3 years. Last thing on my mind was thinking about going out with John Lennon. That was not even in the realm.
Wait a minute, why was it not?
Because, when you work for somebody, you see a whole other side of them in the house that is not the same that what's out there in public sometimes. And you know what? I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So for me, it was a great learning experience. So all of a sudden to say, I'm going out with John Lennon was like, what are you talking about? I don't know this
Did
guy.
you ask of the terms? Is there dental advice? Do I get up insurance? What are my hours? This is very businesslike.
It was almost businesslike, and I said,
what did John say? Was he?
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
He didn't know at the time that this was being set up, and because I talked about it with him later, and he says, "I didn't know what was happening. They weren't getting along. And one of the things that happened is that she came into him as he woke up and he was shaving, and he said, Yoko came in and all she said was, well, I fixed it. And he says, oh, fix what? And she says, on the upstroke of his throat, he's going, I fixed it so you can go out with May. And he said, I almost slit my throat. He goes, how do you know I like May? She's, oh, I know. And it was just one of those. And both of us, for a while, we couldn't even face one another because we knew what just had happened. And she was like, we were the puppets, and she was the
many times as I thought, May Pang, as I thought I understood this.
Yeah.
I'm understanding it more. It's almost like not an arranged marriage. I'm not in a marriage. It's just
no, it was, yes.
Was there any vote on your part? Did you ever say, well, May, what do you think?
No.
I mean, just assumed you would.
It was almost assumed. I kept saying, I'm not doing this. And I kept saying, I'm going to leave. And she goes, you can't leave. And she goes, you just can't, you can't go. And I'm saying that. I said, but this is not something I want to do. So both of us, and she was trying to coax me into it, and I'm like, I'm not going for it. And finally, after a while, even John said, she was so insistent.
Right.
And then he finally said, well, you know what? We're not getting along. We're going to be separated anyway. I'm going to go do it.